way the channel is gonna work is I'm gonna tell lots and lots of stories, and many people they have the right to interpret it as scary or not, but it's just a lot of things are gonna involve legends and just many stories that I end up writing. So if you want right now, just sit back, relax, and I'm just gonna this is supposed to be like an intro video. I might just try telling some interesting stories from my life. Maybe many of them will be scary, maybe not. That's really up to me to decide. Alright, so just sit back, relax, and I'll get started. For the first story, um, let's think about it. Well, I have a very interesting life. I've experienced interesting things, and there was once a time when I was playing video games, and I thought I heard something, and that's just a lame story. Alright. But anyways, that's pretty much it. That's where I'm going to be starting from. Yeah, I'm just laying in my bed right now. Yeah, I'm just really tired. But right now, I'm going to be telling you guys some interesting stories. Something really interesting that could be looked at as scary that once happened was. Oh, give me 1 second to try to remember them first. Yeah. Right, so the first one goes kind of like this. Basically, there was once this priest from some native country. And this priest, he's able to do magic, essentially. And people believe that his magic has these powers to improve people's lives or not. Some people think that his magic is not good, other people think it's really awesome, but I'm actually feeling really tired right now. I'm gonna just relax a little bit. Alright. Yeah. The story, it goes like this. Okay, there was once this man, right? And the man was basically like playing video games. No, I'm just kidding. That's a loud motorcycle. Yeah, but I'm normally gonna have better looking, scarier story videos. But for this one, I'm just gonna show my face and get on with it. It's basically gonna go like. There's going to be a man, and the man was a priest. Now, this man that is a priest, he believes in certain things which many people interpret it as not good. Many people interpret what he was saying slash doing as not good, evil for people, and he believed he had really bad energy. And when people said those things, many people became afraid that something bad would happen if he ever came into their lives. So there was a time when my mother thought that the home I was living in was kind of haunted. She was really scared of it. So obviously I can't go into too many details about what was happening at the house or what actually went on. But what I can do, what I'm able to do is essentially talk about um, some things that, ended up happening later that are, appropriate. There's nothing too violent or anything like that. It's just very simple. But anyways, what ended up happening was um, what ended up happening was so my mom thought that the house I used to live in was haunted. She'd hear noises at night. My sister would too. I never experienced or heard anything. Well, there was one time I may have, but it could have just been a simple hallucination or something. But if anything, I'll just talk about what actually happened. So my mom thought this house was like haunted, right? She thought there were like ghosts living in it and this and that. But it turns out that so because she was thinking like that, she was worried that something bad could have happened, right? Something bad could happen to us being in that house because she was like really afraid. But what ended up happening was my mom, or like one of my aunts, recommended should come to our old house to help alleviate the situation, make things less worse or bad. And what ended up happening was, uh, eventually the guy came, and my grandma used to have a religious area in our home, a tiny, tiny, tiny area. Basically, it was like a closet, and she'd have idols and the things. Yeah, and she would do prayers there, and he came right over there, the priest, and he had this tiny whip. He would he would just start dancing and saying interesting things. And what ended up happening was, I'm not sure what he was saying or what he was doing. Some people were worried that what he'd do would be evil or bad. And then what ended up happening was he'd sing, he'd dance, and he claimed to have this mystical power, basically, this power. And with the power, he said that he was able to hear things, he was able to do amazing things, he was able to see crazy things, and kind of like foretell the future, make future predictions, and do all sorts of things, kind of like that. But what ended up happening was he wanted to. How should I say this? He wanted to kind of sacrifice something as the form of prayer he was doing. So he ended up sacrificing a chicken. But the way they did it was, it wasn't that type of sacrifice. It was a different kind of sacrifice, which I'm not going to explain. But after it happened, um, there were parts that were, buried. They were buried kind of around my old home. And after that happened, people thought, uh-oh, this could be the end. What would happen? What ended up happening was the priest left, did his ceremony, and said things would get better. And I mean, to me, there was nothing wrong from the get go because I do not believe in ghosts. I'm obviously a skeptic, but I can't promise you that they don't exist. Like, sure, I won't say that, but anyways, after some time passed, let me just. So what ended up happening was, after the priest did all those things, my mom thought that things would get better, but she claimed that it didn't, even though nothing really happened to me. She'd claim that she'd hear voices, hear doors open, do all that, you know, all that malarkey that's out there. But anyways, to me, maybe it's malarkey, maybe to others it isn't. Yeah. But I just have to mention what was going on, what type of changes were happening, and what on earth was going on. But after those things were happening, it was clear that um, things were just not working out, and my mother became very scared and sad about things that were happening. But ultimately, she wanted to like go somewhere else. She didn't like the home, so she contacted another priest that was a Christian, and that person went around. They did a blessing, those sorts of things, and ultimately, it didn't seem to have much of an effect because my mother still complained she saw the things or heard weird noises in our home. But I always think that there could be a logical explanation, such as doors opening or closing could be the sound of someone there, could be the sound of the neighbors. There were a lot of cats in our area that could have been making noises on the roof, which we interpreted that way. Once again, I mean, just because I didn't experience anything that paranormal doesn't mean it's impossible, but it I mean, I can't say anything, but based off conclusive evidence and logic, I do not think it is possible for something without an esophagus, something that's not able to actually be a physical entity to make, insane noise the way people say spirits are able to, or just walk through walls and do things like that. I mean, maybe in a fourth dimension it's possible, but maybe we're living within a fourth dimension. Who knows? But I'm not going to go into too much detail about that stuff. What I will say though is, over time, there was once a time I thought I experienced something crazy. It was very, very close to the time of the story I'm telling, but I just want to talk about it. Yeah, I guess I can. I think that what ended up happening was, I was just playing games once. My sister was in our patio feeding my dog. My mother was in our kitchen. And there was no one else in our house except for me. And then this one time I was in our hallway and I saw this black figure just pass by and ran into my grandma's old room. And I wasn't sure what on earth that thing was, but it was just like a shadow passing by. That's literally all it was. That doesn't necessarily prove there's a spirit. I easily could have hallucinated because I've seen shadows before, and they could. I mean, there's so many logical explanations. Shadows don't necessarily mean spirits are there, but I mean, who knows? All right. But when that happened, I thought someone passed me by, so I followed where I thought that shadow went into a room, and that room was my old grandma's old room. And after I checked, there was nothing. There wasn't any person there. There was literally nothing. I called my mom and my sister, and no one came. And then I realized that's when I located everyone. I found out my mother was in the kitchen, my sister was in the patio. So what could that have been? Could it have been a ghost? Could it have just been me hallucinating? Could it be my imagination? I mean, isn't that like a special pleading fallacy? Just because you think you see something doesn't necessarily make it a ghost, right? You're making that assumption from that premise that you saw something, oh, it must be a ghost. That doesn't necessarily mean that. There could be so many other meanings, so many other things that caused it. So it's very important to think like that and be very, very well aware of nuances that are going on or not going on. So once a person is like really, really aware of these things, it becomes much, much easier. I just realized my cheeks look so fat. I haven't been to it's because I have quarantine we spent so much time in quarantine. I gained a lot of weight. I'm currently trying to lose weight, but I still look all chubby. I guess the best way to lose weight would be to eat a lot less calories and continue to exercise. Gotta start burning that fat. But anyways, when it comes to these things and the changes which were occurring, it must be noted that these things play a very significant role in the things we end up seeing. Your past experiences, how much you slept, all those things play a role, okay? So it's very, very important that people realize that and note those things. All right, well, with that said and done, guys, if anyone has any questions, feel free to just super chat me or just leave a question there below and I will get back to you. I'm really tired right now. I might just take a nap. If you want to say anything, just say something and I'm going to respond to your answers. All right, thank you guys. I will see you when I see you.
I'm not sure if anyone has any more questions, or if they're wondering any more things. Well, good night. How old am I? How old do I look? Yeah, if you're watching this video, you can't see the questions. It's gonna look like I'm just talking to myself the entire time, which is not at all what's going on. Oh, I just inhaled a part of the comforter. Ew. I really gotta start losing weight. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Thanks for all the support, guys. Thank you.
Yep, good question. thank you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can I tell another story? I'll try. Just gonna have to wait for it to get to me. If you wait some time, hold on. Give me some time, I might tell more stories. The more will definitely be coming later. No, I don't think so.
Nah, I'm done with stories for today. I'm just gonna do a quick Q&A for the rest of the day. If you have any questions, I might tell more stories in the next one, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just let me know. I'll keep this rolling for another maybe like 35 minutes. Yeah.
Oh shoot, sorry. Just dropped it. Okay. So how was your day? Oh, my day's alright. Just been awake since 6, just doing lots and lots and lots of work.
It's alright. I mean, I'm still improving every single day, you know. Just never ever stop. I'm about to fall asleep.
You know, I realized I have to make an important phone call. I guess I should just make the call. Yes. Hold on, I just gotta check out something. Hold on, real quick. Just gonna make more checkups.
Okay. Okay. Okay, whatever. Getting off of this. Oh, what the heck? Yeah, I think I'm kind of feeling insecure now about the size of my cheeks and the fat I've accumulated on my body. It's not good, huh? That means I gotta start working out and start cutting. My cheeks were like this. They'd be decent, but they're actually like... that sucks. I should probably end this video for the last 25 minutes. I'm just telling another story, huh? I can't really think of another story. Alright, I'm gonna take a nap, and while I nap, you guys can just ask me questions, okay? Any more questions about any stories or anything? Any questions? Nope. No one says anything. Alright. Well, that's it for today then. I'll just wait it out until you guys are ready to ask some questions. If not, I'll wait some time, then I will call it quits. Yeah, I think I will end the video by just talking about some scary stories then. If that's what you actually want, then I guess I'll do that, okay? So, when it comes to scary stories, although I have not experienced some paranormal activity or something, I have gotten scared before. I have seen scary things. There was once a time when basically my parents were divorcing at the time, and we were moving out of our old house. So when we were moving out of our house, we had to dump a lot of junk. And my dad and I figured out we had a lot of old things that we had to dump, and we found a public dumpster. At least we thought it was a public dumpster. So we ended up dumping a bunch of things there, thinking that would solve everything. But ultimately, it didn't work. We dumped all the things there. And there was a guy, there were people that saw us and got really angry, and they looked really sketch, and they threatened to chase us, and we just ran away, and my dad just drove real quick away, and that's it. Never again did we go there or see what ended up happening. So that's just a quick story. Maybe other ones I have, if I come up with them, but right now, so far, no. Answer is no.
I can hear people upstairs making lots and lots of noise. Alright, so any last questions for the last 20 minutes about this channel, my whereabouts, or anything like that? So the answer is no. So yeah, guys, I just think that, fine, if you're gonna ask that, let me just answer it, okay? I think, is paranormal activity real? And my answer to that is, based off reason and conclusive evidence we have, we could say that due to the lack of evidence, we cannot come to that conclusion. But because we cannot come to that conclusion, it's very important to look at alternatives as well. And here's an important example. So when people in very developed countries tend to be on electronics for very, very long periods of time, they tend to do that at night as well, and they're very, very distracted. So they're far less likely to experience paranormal activity at night when it's dark. And why is that? Their brains are constantly active, focused on other things. But if they were in some other country and they didn't have technology like this, it's very, very easy for them,
to not experience anything. But think about it this way. After you watch a movie that terrifies you, let's say you watch a scary movie, for instance. If a person does that, it's very, very probable that they're going to experience some form of paranormal activity. Why? Why is it more likely? Because it's in our heads. It's that simple. It's very, very easy for our brains to play tricks on us. Especially with all the things that happen in our day, especially with so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt out there. So imagine if it's the daytime. The odds of us experience paranormal activity or anything like that in the daytime would be extremely slim. So why is it that we typically see paranormal activity at night and almost never in the day? Why is it that people never ever experience it like that. And that is because at night we tend to not be able to see due to the lack of photons out there. It's called darkness, but darkness is just defined as the absence of light, so it's not even a real thing. But even if that is the truth, even if we can't see anything, and there's just so much uncertainty. We have fear in us. We don't know what's in front of us. We don't know anything that's actually going to happen. So that makes it very, very probable that we will see something we didn't anticipate, especially when it's dark out there and we can't actually see things very well. So I just want you guys to know that when you go out there or when you see or experience paranormal activity, ask yourself, was there something else that happened? Was my brain just playing tricks on me? Is there more than meets the eye? When you ask yourself questions like that, it's very, very probable that you're going to not only question your experience, but you're going to actually understand the root cause of it. What makes you think the way you're thinking? What caused it initially? So, when it comes to this channel, guys, I'm going to be telling you interesting stories. And here's another example of an interesting story. Okay, I have to think for a few minutes before I end up telling them, but I could probably just think of some or a few examples like that. Oh yeah. For a few examples, let's just think. I mean, a lot of these stories don't even have to be scary. They could just be very, very interesting. But anyways, when it comes to stories like this, it's very important to note that the changes that end up occurring not only change the situation, but they could change us, who we are, and how we interpret things. And it's very, very easy for us to learn certain things based off the circumstances we are in. We could learn patterns. We could learn things based off patterns and behaviors. And technically, we're basically like cyborgs if you think about it. So a walking, talking cyborg that is capable of learning things, that's essentially who I am. So being in that state, or that that state of mind, it's very, very easy to see how it's very, very easy for me to see things that are not there. It's very easy for humans to hallucinate given different circumstances. But I'm not going to just say that I've debunked the entire existence of ghosts. It's just that what conclusive evidence is there that these things are real? How do we know that the deceased can come back? We don't necessarily know that. And because we don't know that, we can't truly come to that conclusion. It's very, very important to not have too many logical fallacies, like a fallacy of ignorance or a special pleading fallacy, or so on and so forth. So don't even beg the question or say things very, very differently. Just be very, very conscious of your own biases and the mistakes you're making or what you're assuming. So in that case or scenario, even, we have to pay attention to our own biases. We have to pay attention to whether we actually see things or if we're learning to see things. So with that said and done, guys, I just wanted to put that out there. Just look up let me look up something real quick. So begging the question is a common fallacy that people end up falling for. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm trying to think of a really, really, really good one, okay? It's like, that's when one of your premises is false. It's very similar to a special pleading fallacy, but not the same thing. It's kind of like, okay, you see a black shadow. Okay, that means that
and black shadows represent ghosts. Let's just say that as an example. The black shadow you saw is a ghost. That's similar to begging the question, because you're making the false assumption that shadows mean ghosts. But even if they aren't real, I do think it's really, really fun and really, really, really interesting to learn about those things. I enjoy learning about ghosts. But I'm not going to make any false claims. I'm not going to try to be vacuous in that sense. I'm not a very cantankerous person, so to speak, but I do believe that if you're willing to be patient or give something time, you can experience weird, weird, weird things. I mean, sleep paralysis is a real issue that happens to people. Now, am I going to say that means that there's a ghost? Of course not. It doesn't necessarily have to come from anything paranormal, because there's a psychological meaning behind it. There's, in my opinion, it's very easy for me to say there's always a logical explanation, because I've never been in a situation where I thought there was no logical explanation for something to happen, but if I was in that situation, and that's presuming that it's possible, if that were to actually happen and I can't explain something, then I'd probably think more of these situations. But scary things don't necessarily have to always represent ghosts. There could be so many other things that are scary. Like, I'm not going to specifically name them, but Halloween is coming up pretty soon, so I'm pretty hyped for it. Especially as things are reopening, we're getting ready, guys. We're going to have lots and lots and lots of fun. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for listening to this video. It was a pleasure being able to speak to you guys, but I just wanted to end by saying something about something that can be really scary, and that is death in general. Now, I do not want to or intend on, like, violating any policies or doing anything like that to YouTube, but what I do want to say is that death is something that people often think is scary. And I don't know what to think of death. I mean, I guess I kind of look forward to it because it gives you a sense of meaning in the world, knowing that your time is limited. In that limited time, our existence on this earth is relatively short in comparison to the entire existence of the earth and the universe. The earth is over 4 billion years old, maybe older. The universe, oh my goodness, even older than that, okay? So when you put that into consideration, how, like, you and I can possibly live to be 80 to 100 years old, sure. But when you take that into consideration and look at how long we've lived for, it just makes me wonder what happens after we die. And I presume that, well, there are two things I think happen. I think that essentially nothing happens. I mean, I can't prove it, but this is what I think is going to happen. I think when people pass away, they essentially lose the ability to think, hear, do anything. Their organs no longer function. Their conscience won't exist anymore. It's just like when you think about the year 1700, I was not existent at that time. I have no memories whatsoever of anything that happened there. So that's essentially what's most likely going to happen. I mean, I might just go back into being non-existent again. But I don't think that necessarily means it's the end, because there's a possibility that sometime in my life I might open my eyes and I might be another human. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I'm not going to say it will happen. I'm just simply stating that I think it's possible. Like, I'm not going to say that I'll reincarnate, but what if one day you're able to have any consciences, but you don't have memories of them? Maybe reincarnation is possible. Maybe I'll open my eyes after I die, and I'll actually be born as a baby with no memories, and the year will be 3000. What if that's possible? I don't think it's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen, is what I meant to say, but I can't promise you that it's impossible. And I think this concept of death just gives us this, it's like a dichotomy of life and death. And you ask yourself, when people pass away, are they still on this earth? Do their spirits exist? I don't know. I don't think so. I, I like to assume that what happens happens, and let me just let that car pass. But I like to presume that whatever happens in your life happens, okay? And you're in control. You are in charge of this ship right over here. And we humans can have so much power. We could change other people's lives. We can do all sorts of things like that. But it's going to require lots of time and work. I do think it's very probable that we're living in a simulation. This simulation may not be of this earth. We may be being watched by something or someone. I don't really know. But what I can say is that it's better to just live your life, the best type of life you want to live. And you have the freedom to choose what you want to do. It's just that you're not always obligated to do what you love. You shouldn't only do what you love, but you should try to find many things that you enjoy at the very least, and try to pursue something you enjoy, because not everything you love is going to turn out the way you want it to. It's just like people on many shows, they sing. So many people love to sing, but not all people should be singing. Not all people are good at singing, unfortunately. That's the uncomfortable truth. So those people who want to become singers, but they just can't, like, learn how to sing. The question is, should they pursue singing? Or should they try to have many side careers out there? The uncertainty in this world is not uncanny, but everything that we have in our lives was created by humans, essentially, except for our own consciences. Essentially everything made by man. And I'm not talking about natural complements of the world, because everything that mankind make, anything that's physical, does not come from us. It comes from the earth. Everything made by man had to have come from the earth somehow or some way. Whether it's the bunk bed I'm on, or the sunglasses I'm wearing, the plastic that they have, energy is not being created or destroyed. So it makes me wonder what happens. Well, anyways, I did become a little bit more philosophical, but I'm not going to spend all my time doing that. I'm going to spend more time just talking about other things. And examples of the other things would be life. I'm going to talk about life. So I'm going to call this the last 5 minutes. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask me any questions. And I'm going to upload this. I know when I upload this, you guys are not going to see the videos, but you're free to comment down below if you want me to answer any more questions. But overall, I'm just chilling on my bed. I'm really tired because I woke up at 5 in the morning, could not sleep at all last night. And now I'm just getting started. Well, anyways, I want to tell you guys another story, okay? There was once this time when I was taking out the trash. And there have been many instances where I'm walking in very different places and I see people that do not look safe. They look very dangerous. I'm not going to use certain words, but you get the point. There could be dangerous looking people. But there was once a time I was walking down my old apartment. I'm walking, and I see a man. He looks like he's very mentally ill and extremely dangerous. The man and I are walking in basically parallel together, but in opposite directions. And as our paths are about to intersect, the man ends up looking at me, and he smiles and says hi, and he's super nice. I say hi back. It just shows that you can't just judge a book by its cover. But then there was another story I saw, and I think this is more recent. I was once going to take out the trash in a dumpster. So I'm walking, it's pitch black outside, really cold as well. And I'm prepared to just empty a trash bin which I have from my apartment. And when I'm emptying this trash bin, I'm walking and walking and walking. And I hear a noise. And I ask myself, what? What in the name of the... What on earth was that noise? I don't really think too much of it, so I continue on my quest to take out the trash. As I go there, I walk and walk and walk, and I slowly open the bin, and as I'm about to throw something, a man says something like, "Hey." I look to my left, there's no one there. I look to my right, there's no one there again. And then I realized that the person that spoke was a person inside of the dumpster. And I ask myself, what on earth? And I kind of get scared and startled seeing the person inside of there. And I wonder, what is this person doing? Do they need my help? They are they looking for food? Are they looking for bottles to recycle? What are they doing? And it turns out someone was just chilling in there. And it really, really startled me to see a person. It's kind of like it's like it's night and someone's just looking at you when you least expect it. It could kind of startle you. So I just empty my trash to the side, and the person's actually smiling. They're very nice. And I end up walking back. So even though that was a situation that was scary, and it obviously fits this video, it's another scary story, but it's not terrifying because at the end of the day, I cannot judge the man based off his circumstances. I don't know what he went through. I don't know what happened to him. And that wasn't a ghost. A lot of people would have thought it was a ghost, but I just didn't let fear get the best of me. And my father always tells me that anytime he was in his native country or anywhere where he was, if he ever heard a noise, he would just go and look for it. He'd always just go check. Instead of letting fear get the best of him, he'd go and find out it was just a real object that was making the noise, such as a printer, or it was a bird or a cat. And my dad, the guy works late at night. He's not afraid of anything, literally. And he just is so brave. And he's never really experienced anything paranormal, even though he's from some other country, and he works very, 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 very late at night all the time. So it's like, it makes you wonder, are ghosts real? Is the paranormal activity real? Are all these legends real? Or are they just made up stories, like folklore or legends made to scare people? Is that what's going on? Because I honestly don't really know. I can't prove things, but what I can say is if there are vacuous things that defy the laws of physics, and it's as clear as day that those things are not true, and that you should be careful what you listen to or believe. But once again, these stories are interesting, and they help people learn to be a lot more careful during situations. They help people be more careful, more wary, and more interested and engaged in traditions and all those beautiful, beautiful things that make up our cultures. So with that said and done, guys, I want to thank you so much for listening to this. I kind of went on a rant, but feel free to share the video. I am really tired, so I apologize if I seem very gloomy. Thank you for all the questions that were sent. I did answer most of them, but if you have more questions, put them in the comments below. And with that said and done, I will see you on the next one and tell more and more scary, awesome stories. Peace out.